Good morning, everybody. Coy Camiscioli for Philly Sports Talk here. The NBA playoffs are back, and it's Sixerless for the first time in a while, which might be a good thing. I'm kind of sick of seeing what the Sixers do every year in the playoffs, but we're not going to talk about them one bit. We'll make a whole podcast dedicated to them later on, but looking at the bracket, for this podcast, I made an entire bracket with who I think is going to win and how many games. I know it's like 2 days late. Round one started. Even one or two game twos have happened, but even in those game twos, those series are 1-1. And I didn't even factor in the first couple of games in my bracket. It's never too late to give a playoff bracket prediction. It's always fun to do these. Um, Looking at the bracket, there is a ton of really good matchups and potentially like some insane matchups. And it's getting me a little excited just thinking about it. I know the NBA gets a lot of hate for the regular season, and honestly, reasonably so. I still watch it and enjoy it, but that's who I am. I understand why people don't. The playoffs is a different breed. It's a lot more fun to watch. Um, so yeah, let's get into it. This should be interesting. We'll start in the East, first round of games. So Cavaliers Heat, 1 seed versus 8 seed. I got the Cavaliers over the Heat in four. Nothing too much to say here. Heat were a playing team. I think the Cavs take care of them pretty lightly. But next up, pretty interesting here. Pacers over Bucks. So I know the Pacers have already won game one. I was going to originally pick them anyway. I had them beating the Bucks in six. Damian Lillard is supposed to come back. I don't know. The Pacers, they have had the Bucks number um, as of recent, and it was a chippy game one. Maybe Damian Lillard comes back and the Bucks can take them down. Ultimately, the Bucks have Doc Rivers, and I've seen that plenty of times. I also think the Pacers are pretty good. And obviously, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They got swept by the Celtics, but a couple of those games are very close, and they could have easily flipped the other way. So I do have the Bucks winning in six, setting up a matchup between them and the Cavaliers. Um, Also in that first round, Knicks and Pistons. This is a very good one. This kind of reminds me of the Knicks and Sixers last year in the first round with how good of a first round matchup it was last year. I do have the Knicks defeating the Pistons in seven. Right now the series is tied at one apiece. This could be a good one. I do think this is going to be close. It's going to be a gritty series the entire time. I do have the Knicks just edging out the Pistons in seven, though. Also the Pistons. So that should be a good one. And then the last series is Celtics Magic. I do have the Magic taking one game in this series, but I have the Celtics winning in five, setting up a Celtics versus Knicks round two matchup, which is what all the Knicks fans wanted to see last year. I have them finally getting that. So coming out of the East for the first round, Cavaliers versus Pacers would face off in the conference semifinals, and Knicks versus Celtics on the other end. So a couple pretty good series there. Going to the West for the first round, or should yeah, I thought about just going with the whole East, but no, I'm gonna go stick with the first rounds here. The West for the first round, Thunder and Grizzlies. I do have the Thunder defeating the Grizzlies in four. They dismantled them in game one by like 50 points. I probably would have said Thunder in four regardless. I definitely would have went with the Grizzlies here. So I had the Thunder moving on to round two, and then Clippers Nuggets, and this is a really good series lining up. I watched game two tonight actually, where the Clippers just barely beat the Nuggets, and these two teams, this could be an excellent round one series. I'm gonna be glued to my TV for this one. I do have the Clippers winning. This could go either way, and I've been saying for like the last half decade that the Clippers are finally going to do it. Kawhi Leonard's finally going to lock in, stay healthy, and all this stuff. I'm banking on it finally happening. I have the Clippers winning this series. Nuggets showed a little bit of vulnerability. Obviously, they just fired Michael Malone, which didn't make much sense to me at this point in the season. So I got the Clippers in this one, but again, this could easily be flip flopped. So that would set up a Thunder Clippers round two series on the other side of the West bracket. I have the Timberwolves over the Lakers in six. Um, I don't know. The Lakers just they always kind of seem a little promising in the regular season, and then just the postseason hits, and then like they just get kind of shocked early on, and that's kind of what happened in Game One. Maybe I'm overreacting a little bit. I don't know. Ant-Man and the Timberwolves have showed me a lot of good stuff recently, and I want to see them. I want to see them get back to where they were last season. So I do have them knocking out the Lakers in six. And then Warriors Rockets. This is an interesting one because the Rockets are the two seed, Warriors the seventh seed. I actually have the Warriors knocking out the Rockets in six. I really like what the Rockets are building down there in Houston. I do think the Warriors are going to catch them at a good time. A little bit of lack of experience in Houston, and I got the Warriors technically pulling off the upset in the six games since they're the seventh seed. This should be another good one though, and this would set up a Warriors Timberwolves round two series you know if what I said happens, if what I predict happens, which would be pretty insane. Which also there's a possibility of Warriors Lakers, which would get a Curry versus LeBron again in the playoffs, which would be insane. So there's some really big potential matchups there. We'll stay in the West for round two. Again, it's Thunder Clippers, Timberwolves versus Warriors. Um, Thunder Clippers. This could also be another big time series. Talk about a tough draw for the Clippers. The Nuggets, and then they'd have to face the Warriors, barring anything crazy happening with the Grizzlies. This would be another insane series. I do have the Thunder winning this one in seven. The Thunder did sweep them in the regular season. It's gonna be a little bit different now, especially with the Clippers healthy. Hopefully, they stay healthy and can move on. But again, I have the Thunder winning this one and going to the Western Conference Finals. And then Warriors Timberwolves. This would be an unbelievable series. And before I made this podcast, I was just going back and forth. I couldn't even have a vision of who I would see winning this series. I ultimately went with Warriors in seven over the Wolves. I'm going with Steph Curry having one last big run in him. Um, but man, it's tough to not go with the Wolves. It's tough either way. I do want to see the Warriors get back there for one last run with Curry. Really, I'm so glad that they're back in the mix this year. The Jimmy Butler trade kind of revived the season a little bit, and I would love to see them back in the Western Conference Finals. That'd be really cool. So that would set up a Warriors Thunder Western Conference Finals, which would be pretty insane. Kind of the new gen versus the old gen in the Warriors. And man, that'd be something. As for round two in the East, a couple good matchups here as well. We have Celtics and Knicks. I do have the Celtics winning this one in six. I don't know, the Knicks. They maybe I'm kind of doubting them a little bit, but they're not kind of what I thought they would be. After watching the first two games against the Pistons, and maybe that's a little bit of biasness, and maybe I would have thought differently if I made this a little bit sooner. But I'm going with the Celtics in six. So Celtics go back to the Eastern Conference Finals again, and Pacers Cavaliers. This is where things could get dicey. I actually had the Pacers defeating the Cavs in seven. They beat the Cavs three times in the regular season, so they kind of were their kryptonite. And I don't know, I'm just a big Pacers guy in the East for some reason. Um, I love what they've done. And yeah, I've got them knocking out the Cavs and setting up a Pacers versus Celtics Eastern Conference Finals rematch from just a year ago. And yeah, so we'll stay in the East. So this would be the Final Four would be Pacers, Celtics, Thunder, Grizzlies. Um, in which this man it'll be tough. But for these, I had the Celtics defeating the Pacers in six. Again, last year the Celtics knocked them out in four, but there was a couple really close games that the Pacers kind of blew. I would love to see the Pacers win this series, but I have the Celtics going back to the NBA Finals to try and retain their title. And on the Western side of things, Thunder Warriors, this would be unreal. The Warriors beat them 2 out of 3 this year, and I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch from 2022 of Warriors Celtics. I thought that was an entertaining series. Wouldn't mind seeing it again, but I had the Thunder just barely getting out of this one in seven. I think they might like take an early series lead. Warriors kind of come back, and then the Thunder finally regain strength and win it in seven. But this would be an all-time series again, hopefully, if this were to happen. So that would set up a Thunder Celtics finals, and beginning of the year, this has been my prediction since the beginning of the year, so I've kind of stuck with it. I had the Celtics winning early on, but I do think the Thunder are going to get theirs this year. I really like what they have. I have the Thunder beating them in seven. I have the NBA Finals finally getting another 7 game series, which would be awesome, great for the league too. And yeah, I think the Thunder would take this one, but it's so tough, especially I'm saying all this stuff in hypothetical situations. I'm automatically advancing two teams to the NBA Finals. Um, but there's a lot of really good matchups, a lot of really good potential matches that we could see. A lot of legacies being created. This is a great time of the year for basketball. Again, gets a lot of hate in the regular season, reasonably so. That's okay. But NBA playoffs are always excellent. So very excited to tune into the rest of them. That's gonna do it. I'll post the picture of my bracket on the Twitter account, which is Philly Talks 2 underscores, and go follow the Instagram page Philly.sports.talk underscore. So I probably won't do another NBA podcast for a couple weeks. I'll probably do like a NBA Finals preview or maybe a Conference Finals preview or recap. And but yeah, that'll be about it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, I have the Thunder over the Celtics in 7. Let's see. Peace, guys.